With 3 large shooters coming out this year, there's a lot to be excited for. Each game has some amount of innovation that should be supported. Vanguard with finding ways to lower the storage size of the game, Battlefield 2042 with its flexible portal mode, allowing players to create their own specific rule set to something that the community actually wants, and Halo with their multiplayer mode being free to play, and rolling battle passes over so they don't just expire. With this said, there is one in particular that I feel is the most important game to succeed, which I think is Halo Infinite for its free multiplayer. Now the entire game isn't free, you still have to pay for battle passes and for the campaign. But for the multiplayer, which would be where most players would spend the most amount of time on, to be free from a AAA game is something to take notice. Along with everything else the game has, such as Forge mode, which allows players to create their own game modes. So I did mention in my previous video about Battlefield 2042 being a new standard, and how important Portal mode will be to the game and the future of other games, allowing the community to come together and create modes and such that can range from casual death runs to stripped down competitive modes. Not every mode will catch on, but that's not the point. The point is for a game to give players the ability to keep new modes fresh and create them on the platform, rather than wait for the developers to create their own version over next year's sequel and pay another $60 to those new additions, which is more or less what Call of Duty does every year. Now the reason why I'd say Halo Infinite is the most important game is because it has all of this to some extent plus free multiplayer. If it was a smaller game or if it was just a battle royale, I would not really care. But this is the heart of a Halo game that everyone is going to have access to. Compared to the other two games, I do want Battlefield 2042 to succeed. I want to maintain a higher player count and Hazard Zone to be a lot of fun. However, 2042 is not offering any sort of free-to-play mode, at least not at this time. I feel this is a step back. I know I'm always looking for innovation, and giving a part of the game out for free isn't necessarily innovative, but it's a habit that I do feel the industry should keep. You don't have to search far to see how much a game makes from microtransactions alone, which shows that a polished and supported multiplayer AAA game could be released for less than $60, if not free, and the game could still turn profit. Now I'm not expecting any or every AAA game to do this, but this kind of does undermine the whole ordeal of a large game needs to be sold at a price higher than $60 per copy. If Halo Infinite is not a sign of that, I don't know what is. As for story-based games like Red Dead Redemption 2, sure, that can still be $60. It takes a lot more time and effort to create that kind of game, all hinging on a story that needs to be well written and worth the player's time, as well as a high attention to detail and gameplay that makes sense to the entire game. Typically with a game like that, they can also boost the graphics to be one of the best looking games of the year, since they don't have to worry about hitting 120 frames per second. Moving on, Halo Infinite doesn't seem like it's trying to do it all in one go, and with the title itself, it does seem like they're planning to expand on the game from here, rather than work on a sequel in a few short years. Other games have done this, but most notably in the AAA space, that would be Rainbow Six Siege, with constantly new content coming out and a large focus on the esports community. It's fine if you disliked the game or lost interest a while ago. A sequel isn't really going to fix that. In some ways it can if they do make a large overhaul of the gameplay, visual clarity, and so on. It could possibly bring people back, but for how long? I know that's not really the question when it comes to a new $60 game. The question would typically be how many people are going to buy it. Longevity, however, does seem to be more important nowadays for multiplayer titles, which makes a lot of sense. A multiplayer game without an active community will not last long, and we've had plenty of smaller games such as Lawbreakers fail for almost no reason. Yeah, I bet you completely forgot about that game, didn't you? Here's another one in the Battle Royale category, Radical Heights. That game also failed and closed down, even though there was some amount of interest and coverage for it. In a world where it's important to keep an existing franchise relevant and not try to create brand new IPs, it's important for these games to not be dead on arrival. Although if you're Ubisoft, you're most likely just playing coin toss, hoping you can just continue making a sequel regardless. Say with what they did with the Assassin's Creed series, where they had to stop making them every year, due to glitches, bugs, and overall lack of polish. And their Battle Royale attempt, Hyperscape. With both Battlefield and Halo planning to support their new games for the long run, I wonder how much longer Activision will continue to release a new Call of Duty every year. For a franchise that is about the same thing, I never understood buying every new release. I get that if you don't, you miss out playing with your friends and get left behind. But fortunately for me, I don't have friends. at least not any that are regular Call of Duty players. So being out of the loop is quite normal for me, and not worth spending $60 on a half-polished game that will take another 6 months to be where it should have been from launch, to play it for another 5 months to spend another $60 on the new game. I'm not mad or upset at any of the development teams. They do with what they can with what they have. I'm more concerned about Activision's management and not really doing things that are consumer friendly. But hey, they found their market, and if people are going to keep falling for the same trap year after year after year, there comes a point where you can't blame Activision's decisions anymore, but rather the decisions of the people. But I digress. I can't wait to get my hands on Battlefield and Halo, and maybe we will see other games try the Halo approach, giving the multiplayer experience out for free and having other portions of the game locked behind a paywall. This can cause issues with the game being sold piece by piece, but at the very least it's something to be excited for currently. At this point, I don't really know what would be worse, $60 sequels every year or so, or $30 expansion packs. So with this, what are your thoughts? Do you think this will change anything in the near future, or is this more of a one-time thing that we may never see again? Let me know and let's discuss what the future of gaming may be. But until then, I am Mr. Rain, and thank you for watching.